My name is Michael Steinberg, and welcome to the Future Motion Podcast, where we talk about everything that's coming down the line in the motion design industry, and where we also discuss cool VR, AR, XR, and metaverse things that are happening. So, today we have an amazing episode. I had the pleasure of interviewing Shane Fu. Guys, if you haven't checked out his work, do so now. He has been blowing up on Instagram and TikTok, getting millions of likes. His work has been on fire. You can find his work by typing in Shane F as in Frank 3D. That's Shane F 3D. Or if you want, go to TikTok and look up 3D Shane. He's just been going viral on every single post he does, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. As well, we're going to be going in with him a lot of talk about VR and his process on how he goes about making each of these clips. So, with that being said, I hope your shoes are tied because your socks are about to get blown off. That was so stupid. Okay, but anyway, let's go ahead and do this.
This is the Future Motion Podcast with your host, Michael Steinberg.
Shane, what have you been up to, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it is. So I don't remember exactly when we talked last time, but I remember it was a couple months ago, and yeah, that was pretty fun. that was pretty fun. But I think back then I was working in a small studio, just freelancing for them. I had a 3 months contract. I did some crazy, amazing work that I liked a lot. And then after that, when it ended, that was like 2 months ago, I just started freelancing on my own. Wow.
That's what's up. I'm guessing working from home, right?
Yeah, I've been just working from home. None of that WeWork BS, but I'm kind of looking into that as well because I don't think working from home is a long-term thing for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've kind of feel the same way, I think. At least for me, I'm not sure. Maybe we have different reasons as to why, but working from home for me, for a while, I felt like I wasn't being as productive. And I feel like there's just a lot of distractions at my house, and my dog's here. So every time my dog comes in the room, I got to stop and pet her. And then every time I walk into the other room, there's my partner's got something on TV, or now I got to make a sandwich. But I don't know. So I just had problems with it. But I will say my new job is 3 days at work and 2 days at home. And it's going to be permanent that way. And I'm just going to say, it's perfect for me. I feel like I rock out super hard at work. And then even when I work from home now, I still have that energy mentality. It's not like this long-term thing where I get into kind of a stagnant field. It's like I'm constantly having that motivation at work, and then I bring that energy home. So it's been helping for me. How's working from home for you been? Because you've been doing it the whole pandemic, right?
Yeah, the whole pandemic, except for that 3 months, which it was in-house in that studio. Otherwise, yeah, I'm at home all the time. But I feel like your schedule is it's great. Can I swear? Can I swear on this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude.
All right. Yeah, your schedule is great. It's the perfect balance. I feel like it's what everybody should do. But for me, 5 days a week or 7 days a week at home, because right now I've been just working basically every day, more or less. I don't have really a fixed schedule, which I really need to, but it's been kind of rough because it's hard to, I guess, compartmentalize stuff. And I use my setup not only to work, but also basically do just everything else, like browsing stuff and then playing games, which is, like you said, a big distraction, you know?
Oh, such a big distraction. I mean, I can zone out playing games for hours. It's like a problem sometimes.
Yeah, totally. So that's why also I live in a studio apartment. Doesn't help when there's no other room that you can basically split your work and everything else, or just a bedroom.
Yeah.
Which I think that would be way much better for me. But yeah, I mean, I am just taking it slow, trying to figure out what's the best for the future working style.
Yeah, well, so I'll just say I kind of agree with you. For a long time when I was having roommates and such, I had my computer always in the same room as my bedroom. Forget who was mentioning and talking about this, but they were just saying how bad it is kind of for your mental health, or how hard it is to have your working environment be in the same room as your sleeping environment. And it's like you never are able to, like you said, compartmentalize the two different sections.
Right, right.
It's like it feels like as soon as you get off the computer, you never leave the work. Like you go to bed thinking about it. Where
And like sometimes I literally had to hear my computer buzzing while it's rendering at night. I was like right next to my bed.
so you definitely can't stop thinking about work.
No. Fortunately, fortunately I have a, I guess, good layout in the room, so it's been good so far.
Yeah, well, so you were thinking about, I guess, renting a space like an Airbnb or so, or not Airbnb, like a WeWork, like
Yeah, I was looking to WeWork, but I'm still not so sure, because if I bring my whole workstation there, then I have to basically get another mini workstation at home.
right.
So I'm not sure. Also, it's pretty costly, I guess, for freelancer.
Yeah, it is.
You know, I'm just looking into it, looking around, trying to see what's good.
No, it's a dope idea. I was at a startup at a WeWork. They're great. You get access to every WeWork, so you get bathroom access all over the city, which, talk about a dream come true. And and then as well, they got beers there, usually always on tap. And it's nice too because there's common spaces and there's always so many other startups. And I think it was probably one of the few times in my life where I just like achieved the nirvana of feeling creatively high. It's just every single person is in a startup and everybody feels like they have $1 billion idea and is putting everything on the line to do it. And it just, I don't know, that environment really gets you going.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely a much better environment than basically anywhere else, I think. I say.
Yeah, better than the computer being right next to your bed.
Yeah, totally.
Well, awesome, man. Well, I'm excited. Definitely keep me updated with that. We're going to go ahead and jump into the questions here. I guess, first of all, let's just go over, man. So, in like a few words or sentences or paragraphs or short novels and stories, what exactly would you say you do?
Okay, so I primarily do 3D motion design, which focuses on blending in CGI magical elements with a real life experience.
Okay, I love that answer because I feel like
And yeah. I'm sorry, but also, like I used to do 2D, but not anymore. I feel like I've been putting my focus on primarily 3D, and then I've been also trying to expand my technical chop into the new frontier of the design, like AR and VR.
wow. I'm excited to dive into that and also pick your brain on where you're thinking the industry's going. Also, I loved your beginning part of the answer. I feel like that nails your type of style of work and what you do perfectly. Well, so you're doing this amazing 3D work, and I feel like 3D is like, it's almost too broad of a term for what you do, even though it is 100% 3D. I feel like your compositing is just phenomenal. It looks real. Like, I think that's why your work is, one of my favorite things about it is it just looks like it's in the environment, and that word magical, it's like magically real. And I just love that about you. So where did this inspiration come? I guess a lot of your elements, right, you take from New York City. Is that correct?
Yeah. Basically, I think everything that I filmed is in the city. And then, I mean, for some client work, which I'm doing, it's where they provide a video footage that's like outside, I guess. Worldwide, basically.
So, like, how do you get inspired to, like, pick your shots? Because, like, some of your shots look like it's just a random corner on the street or just, like, a random little monument. Do you, like, plan these out, or is it kind of something where you're walking down the street, look at something, and then the idea hits you like lightning?
Well, yeah, I think that's you just answered it for yourself. I think the second part is mostly how I get my shots. I think when I see like a good place that has a huge area that can that allow me to put stuff in it. And then some technical aspect, which is like when the place, it's good for motion tracking when you try to film it, stuff like that. And also when there is a certain, I guess, iconic things within the frame, that would be really cool to incorporate.
Nice. So how long have you been, I guess, doing this kind of style that you've kind of been doing with this like street mixed with magical reality? I feel like that's going to be a new Zing word.
Well, I've been doing that, I think, since last July.
Wow.
Yeah, since last July, which is not so long. It's not too long, but I've been having this type of ideas in my mind for a long time, I guess, because like I love what a lot of VFX artists does, which is roughly the same but not so, like, I guess in a different, a lot of the times it's different type of style they do. But I really wanted to understand the process of it and how to make it look really, really believable. So I just like started making stuff like that, making videos like this.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, I want to hear your story a little bit here. So what got you into wanting to make these things, and when did you realize you wanted to be a motion designer? If you could just like walk me through a little bit about your life and how you wound up here and the Big Apple.
The Big Apple. Yeah, so for my college, I went to Boston University and I studied film. But I guess throughout the 4 years, it just became more and more apparent that it's not something that I would like to do for my future. Like buying coffee and then just handing out the coffee for everyone on the film set. It's not what I want to do for like 3 to 5 years after I graduate. Yeah, and it's a lot of the element to become successful in Hollywood. I guess it's connection and luck, which I don't really have. Well, luck is debatable, but connection I don't really have much. So I guess in the last semester, I just like decided, I just say, fuck it, I'm gonna skip school. I got all the credit I need to graduate. I want to find something that I want to do. And I think one day in, I guess, early February or somewhere, I think I stumbled upon Beepo's, either it's Beepo's YouTube page or Beepo's Instagram page. I was like, what the fuck? How does he do this, right? I wanna learn what he does, cause I feel like it's a perfect blend for those animated shorts and like VJ loops that he used to do.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect blend between a good cinematography and like a digital design, which I really wanted to become a cinematographer in college, but I think this plays a big part of motion design as well. And then the digital design is also something that I've been kind of interested in getting into. So he basically just inspired me to start making myself teach myself. Well, yeah, he basically inspired me to start to do this.
So what steps, once you had that inspiration, and funny enough, people played big part in my, I think everybody's.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone, most people in the industry.
Him and Andrew Kramer, those are like
Totally.
the origin stories. It's the Adam and Eve of motion design right now. Yeah, so like when you saw that, what steps did you take to learning it? Were you kind of like just going on YouTube and doing tutorials, or were you downloading random programs, or were you taking courses?
Yeah, so I think at first I just Googled what his process is, like what software he used and stuff like that. So, I found out about Octane, and then I watched tutorials on that. And then I had a little bit knowledge of Cinema 4D, because I played around it, believe it or not, in high school, because I used to do, a little bit like After Effects work, editing works. So I had a little bit interest, but it ended up being, I guess, a little bit difficult for me and for my shitty MacBook to run back then. So I just gave up. But, I just picked up Cinema 4D again and then tried out Octane.
Wow.
which is like pretty magical, I think.
When would you say you started that exactly? So you were doing After Effects a little bit first, or did you kind of just do the jump straight from cinematography into 3D?
Well, I've been using After Effects since all the way back in high school, and
Mm,
then
yeah.
watched all the Andrew Kramer stuff, Video Copilots, and a bunch of people, and I think I'm like pretty decent at it, and then I've been using it up until all the way through college. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And so yeah, doing the whole thing. If you're doing cinematography, yeah, you're probably doing editing as well, right? Then you mentioned you were doing editing. All right, so then you go into Cinema 4D. You find out about Octane. And how long ago did you say that was again when you started?
That was, I think, 2.5 years ago, which
Wow,
is like the very early 2019. It's not
nice.
so long, to be honest. So yeah,
Yeah, no, I know, right? I mean that's 2 years, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, you grew, man. You went fast. You skyrocketed. And we
Nah.
started at the same time.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
Okay, so you get into Octane. You have Cinema 4D. Now I know you get into Xparticles, but just tell me kind of what were you doing before Xparticles, or did you kind of start there? What was your journey like through 3D, and where did you figure out more resources to learn? If there were any artists you followed?
Well, I think I gotta talk about. I guess I gotta talk about from the beginning up until recently. So like in the beginning, I was trying to just learn from Beeple and other big names like Stuzor,
Mm,
people like them doing try to do every day, but it turns out I'm way lazier than those guys. But yeah, so I've been trying to design something once or twice a week, like just for still render, because I feel like I gotta really hone in my just like still rendering skills and lighting and stuff like that. Yeah, so I've been trying to approach, I guess, with like experimenting with all different kinds of styles, with like more realistic theme, and then a more of a surreal theme, and then I think there's a phase with even with like some like toon shaders,
mm.
which I loved a lot to play around with it. Yeah, and then I've been also experimenting with like architectures and interior design sort of things, which is like, I try to find my styles, and that took a while. That took a while, and then I think it sort of landed on those, because I wanted to also start doing motion as well. So I just started to mess around inside plugins like Xparticles and Houdini's.
Mm.
Um, a lot of the great solvers and just the magic they can do with their simulation tools. I started to just learning, experimenting with those, and that's how I ended up, I guess, getting closer and closer to the stuff I make now.
Right. Okay, I love that. So you had like just a full on epic step after step experience there, all in the right direction, apparently.
Well, I mean, no, I wouldn't say it's right, but I feel like it is what it is. And honestly, like, I'm still experimenting with stuff, like, still trying to find what my actual style is, because I still have no idea.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned Houdini. When you're doing your particle stuff, do you feel like you're mainly in Cinema 4D doing X particles, or are you doing Houdini more or less and bringing that into Cinema 4D, or just rendering straight from Houdini nowadays?
I feel like for most soft bodies or rigid bodies, those type of stuff, I use Houdini. But I feel like everything else that's specifically involved particles or fluid sim, those are done with X particles.
Mm,
And usually what the workflow is, even when I'm using Houdini, unless it's a super complicated project, I would just export all different type of files like Olympic and stuff to Cinema 4D, and then do everything else in Cinema.
wow, nice. So we've got kind of like your inspiration down, kind of like a little bit about how your technique is going down on what's kind of driving maybe some of your ideas. So, can you tell me, do you have any special tricks when it comes to kind of like your compositing and layering and how it looks? Are you shooting with 360 cameras to get like HDRI lighting, or how do you do like your lighting and make it look so good?
Yeah, so I think whenever I do a post that's like that involves video footage, I basically, for me, I just shoot the footage on my iPhone. And, surprising enough, it's not that difficult. I shoot a couple footage and then pick the best one that has the best track and angles and stuff. And then I also shoot on the location, I shoot a 360 photo. It's not even HDRI. It's not high dynamic range yet. But I've been also experimenting with an app that's pretty new. That's made by one of my favorite artists, Voids 2. He created
How
an
do you
app.
spell? Is it voids with a V or B with the like boy?
Voids.
Void. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. V.
Voids.
Nice. Okay. I'm definitely looking that up after.
Yeah, so this guy, he created an app called HDRI, as in your eyes.
Nice. Clever.
That it's basically also like a regular 360 image stitching app, but then the twist is I think it has AI building, and then you can calculate based on the image, and then convert the regular just a JPEG image into a high dynamic range image.
Wow.
That is what I'm also experimenting right now. I think it gives you way better lighting within the renderer. But anyways, I digress. So, I have those assets ready, and then I just like try to design the elements, the CG elements within Cinema or Houdini, according to the, like try to line it up with the tracked footage. And then I bring all the renders. I think, most of the time, I guess 90% of the time, I bring the renders into Nuke, which is, I'd say, a nerdier version of After Effects. Yeah, I use Nuke for most of my compositing there. I gotta say, with the good help of ACES, which is like a color profile that basically has a unifying color conversion into like one system, whether it's like all the cinema cameras, your iPhone, or the 3D renders you do, it can basically convert their color space into ACES color space, which just blends everything together really, really well.
Is that native on Nuke?
That's native on Nuke, and it just became native on Redshift as well, which is like a renderer I'm using. And I think it's coming to Octane as well.
Wow. Yeah, I've been hearing about ACES, but I've yet to have used it.
So I think it's the standard practice for all VFX houses and the Hollywood movies now. So yeah, which has been working fantastic. Yeah, so thanks to those, and then I'm also like what I usually do. Here's a trick. So what I usually do is basically downgrade, basically turns the crisp, clear render from cinema into a noisy lo-fi version of itself to blend it better with the iPhone footage, because the iPhone footage is a lot of time it's like kind of noisy, it's not that sharp,
Right.
and I feel like it just brings like a good lo-fi feeling to it. But it depends, if it's like if the footage is more of a cinema camera, that process you don't need to.
Smart. I like that. I need to see, I feel like, a tutorial on this from you.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's what I'm trying to make.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I've been thinking about starting a Patreon soon.
Yo, you already got one follower, that's for sure.
Nice, thank you.
Well, so awesome. So then I guess my last thing would be like, what do you do your tracking in? Do you pretty much just track in Cinema, or I guess if you're not using After Effects, you're using Nuke? Are you placing it in Nuke to get tracking points into Cinema, or?
So I think all the footage I've tracked is done within Cinema. I think it's got a super matured 3D tracking tool built in. I remember it used to be pretty clunky to use, or I might just like suck at it back then. But now it's been getting much better.
Love that. Yeah, Cinema's tracking is better than After Effects in my opinion. I almost just despise After Effects tracking. They've gotten good with the face tracking, but just in general, I love tracking in cinema.
Totally.
Had very good results.
And honestly, most of the times, just like one click of a button if the shot is good enough.
Yeah, it's so much easier. You're not putting tracking points everywhere where if there's like an accidental blur, it just loses all tracking point. It's so solid. It's so solid.
Right, exactly. And sometimes if the situation is needed, I'll bring the camera into Nuke as well to do stuff like rotoing or shot alignment, stuff like that.
Nice. So we got kind of your process, what you do, everything like that. Where do you see maybe yourself in the industry, say, I know this is a hypothetical question, but in 5 years?
In 5 years.
Or just in the future, where do you see the industry going? Where do you see yourself going? I know you got Patreon, it sounds like. Are you going to be trying to do more of that kind of route, becoming this super artist who's doing these learning tutorials and giving out awesome, maybe selling content, assets? I'd buy some assets off you. What's kind of like your future plan, or when you think of the future, what do you think about?
Yeah, I think in 5 years, nobody really know. Nobody really know. That's first. Yeah. But I feel like for me, I don't know much either, but I feel like within 5 years, I've been trying to, like, the dream is within 5 years, I want to start, my own studio and then have a solid list of client that I've been freelancing right now or for in the future. Yeah, have a solid client list for that studio and then maybe get other good artists on board as well.
That's tough.
That's the 5 years plan. And I'm not sure if 5 years is enough for that. I feel like not. But we'll see. I feel like, if you think about your dream hard enough, it will just manifest itself. Who knows?
Dude, well, I'll say based on the track you're going, I think if anybody has a shot, you got a pretty good shot on it. Because, yeah, you've been blowing it up recently.
Well, but another thing is, it's been good. Like, my work has been pretty liked, pretty popular. And then a lot of people is hitting me up. But I think personally, I still need way more experience, whether it's like just for personal artwork or for client works. I think I'm still in the building the foundation phase. Mm-hmm. And once I'm getting out of it, I'll think about stuff like studios. And like you said, like becoming actually a good, like a Patreon instructor or asset creator like that. Because that requires, I feel like, way more experience. Usually those people are basically in their 40, 50 and work in the industry for years. And now it's like kind of retired, wanted to do this as well. And those are kind of experience that's needed for those type of job.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I know I need a lot more experience. But I will say, too, at the same time, I see some 18-year-olds just coming on out, these, like, young guns just blowing me out of the park, I'm like, wow, how did you get to this skill, Like, holy crap, I'm just going to retire now, So, yeah, I mean, like you said, though, it's kind of what you think is what you manifest and what you get. So, I love that. Putting goals out there. Metaphorical 5-year goals out there.
Yeah, all metaphorical. Nothing. If you make it's got to be abstract. If you make it too much of a real deal, maybe it's just not going to be there, and you'll be mad.
Mm-hmm. So, this is my favorite part. We're just going to jump a little bit into this because I'm always bringing up VR. That's my thing. Do you use VR, own any headsets, or even with AR, doing any filters or using some of your work to, like, I don't know, presenting it in any type of, like, using Spark or anything like that? And what's your thoughts on the AR, VR industry?
Yeah, so I own a Quest 2. It's a pretty good product, apart from the part where Zuckerberg is trying to suck all data from me.
Yep.
But it's been a good product, I feel like, especially where it's like untethered, and then you can have so many like creative apps just within your headset. I've tried stuff like Adobe Medium and other apps that I might have forgotten the name about. But I haven't integrated into any of my work yet, but I definitely experimented it with a lot. I think it has like amazing potential, especially with the sculpting tool. It's just amazing what you can create if you have the, I guess if you put enough hours in it and then have the precise hand drawn skill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll say too, I've been loving doing modeling in VR. I kind of noticed a negative thing that happened to me the other day. I've been trying to do it almost every day now, just because I'm getting better and better, and I'm getting quicker and quicker. Like, they still look bad, but they're getting there. And I just can't wait till I can model really quickly and know where all the buttons are and just be flying. But the one thing I noticed with VR is sometimes it's hard to move a polygon right where you want, because it's like you don't even realize your hand's shaking, you know what I mean? Or you're like trying to make a fine stroke, but it's in 3D, and there's like the way your arm tilts, it's not perfectly straight, or you lean back and make a whole terrible stroke. Or when your arm gets tired after like an hour, you know, like
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my gosh, I want to keep
yeah.
working, but I'm just like staring at it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about arm getting tired. I'm still not over the motion sickness phase, so I've been just still getting constant motion sickness.
Yeah, that's one struggle I think that they have to come fix, and I think that's just going to be done with higher frame rates as that comes out and better quality. Because I've got the Index headset. I'm running that straight off my PC. The frame rate's crazy good. And
yeah, it's got the highest frame rate, right? Out of any headset, right?
Yeah, there's a few new ones out. There's a lot of these alt headsets coming out that are competing and getting up there. There's like weird military headsets that come out that are like 10 grand, or they have like headsets that are also just for business usage. Even the Google Glass, Google Glass is out now, but you can only get it through businesses.
Interesting.
There's like interestingly enough, this high value product that's really expensive and only for corporations. And I think that's because some people, I've heard some reasons, but I think it's because they can figure out shipments better, so they're not overstocking in certain places, and there's quality control behind it, and they also charge more. That's a thing they do, apparently. There's headsets, so apparently if you want to like get headsets for your company, if it's a big company, they intentionally charge you more, and they let you know that they're charging you more for the headsets versus just a consumer getting it, which is interesting.
I mean, I guess that makes sense because to corporation, you always want to do that.
Like, you got money, bro.
Yeah.
Just get the headset. If you want the headset and you want all the legal license and all that stuff. So hopefully they fix the motion sickness. Do you get motion sickness when you're even using like Medium, Adobe Medium, and modeling?
Well, not so much. It's mostly just the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with Medium, I still need to just like try to perfect my skill with it. Yeah, it's hard. I feel like especially the scaling problem, like you said, because like if you have a tiny stroke, it's hard to draw on it. Yeah, it's always about scaling down, scaling up, and then always pressing that undo button.
Yeah, lots of undo buttons. I wish they had a drawing app. I've noticed myself, I sometimes go in Photoshop. It's just really crazy. But even in Photoshop sometimes, I like to draw in VR.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like your drawing is this big in front. You know, I'm saying
yeah.
big. It's full human size scale. It's 6 feet in front of you. It's like 6 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and you're just staring at it in VR, and it looks like it's in front of you. I mean, it's just so much more crazy than looking at it on like a 3 foot by 3 foot screen. Yeah, it's really cool. And then you can like zoom in, and then you just like, it feels a lot more like you're painting still. You're kind of going up and down with the strokes. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily more practical than like using something like a Cintiq, but compared to a mouse, I definitely feel like it has some value. And as well, just seeing it in scale and being able to like step back, it gives me kind of like this weird painter feeling. Like, I don't know if you've taken painting classes or done painting, but you always step back from your work, just go across the room and look at it. Yeah, you can do that in VR. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the best. I think that's the best thing about it is how interactive it could be.
Yeah. I think too with VR where, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, but I feel like there's going to be, I know you get motion sickness, but I feel like there's going to be like when Mark Zuckerberg's saying this metaverse and a lot of things are going into like Web XR, which I don't know if you've experienced before.
Oh yeah. I think it has because Quest 2 has just like some apps that's building their into the browser. You can literally just click into it, and it's like the latest and best like Web XR projects. Yeah, I've tried some stuff out, but I think a lot of them are still in like the primitive stage. It's just like a simple game or simple app that you can't do a lot with. But I think, yeah, like you said, it's got huge potential.
Yeah, I feel like too, it's kind of like the most exciting part is jumping in onto these fields, knowing you're one of the first people to be experimenting and pioneering this potential new field of work. Also, really am excited about the future of being in a full scale VR movie and just I don't know. I can't even comprehend what that would be like. I've done some cool animated movies where it's not a high scale movie. It's like an indie film where you're just standing there and things are going around you and there's a story and it's really exciting. Have you ever experienced any of the VR movies before?
Yeah, I think probably the similar ones where you did, because I think right now there's only shorts, like the animated shorts that can be viewed through VR. Nothing like a full feature length yet. But from the ones that I've seen, which I totally forgot the name about, it's just like stuff like 3 to 5 minutes, but it's basically a fully rendered environment which you can basically. I think you have to just like it has to be a standstill. You can only move your head in a fixed position. It'd be way more fun if it's interactive, but like you can move your head around and then view the whole 360 around you. That's like a great feeling. And it's like the best immersive experience you can have. But yeah, like I said, it's like only shorter formats. So I wish there's like way longer ones. But also, I think it has to be animated, right? Because if you shoot it with a camera, although it could be like 3D. Well, I guess you could. There are like documentaries that's been shot on like I guess two 3D cameras, not 3D, sorry, two 360 cameras, and that then can be converted into the VR, the two eyes in VR that you can view in.
Interesting. I've never seen, but even then, it's still fixed position.
Yeah, it's still fixed position. You can only move your head around. So ideally, I feel like it could be if you wanted to be fully immersive and interactive, it could just be animated and then rendered in real time.
Yeah, because I honestly feel like, not to say film is dead or what, no, it's definitely not dead, but it's but in the future, I can see there no longer being screens. Also, it kind of looks nice to have, I mean, screens, I actually love how they look, but I totally can see this weird future world where there isn't screens. If you just imagine your room without the big screens everywhere, it feels a lot more simplistic and relaxing. And then if you just look at your headset, you're like, oh, that's so much more simplistic. And there's not as many wires. And plus, when you put it on, the field of vision is huge. But anyway, yada, yada, yada. I think the 3D, when it comes to the video animations and the shorts, and I'm sorry if I got off track. I feel like I had an idea, and then I started talking about screens for no reason, and now I'm going back.
Oh yeah, I mean no, it's always about the screen though, like the maximum FOV. That's what you want.
Yeah. Oh, so that's where I was going. That's right. So thank you for saying that. So I feel like when it comes to your viewing angle, it's exactly where I was going. Is when you're sitting down so say you have the two 360 cameras, right?
Yep.
It's stagnant. You're stuck in a chair where you can only look left and right. And if you move, your camera's not moving. You can't look around an object. So it really isn't immersive.
Exactly.
There's not as much to look at. But when it's fully 3D, I mean, it's just a whole nother story. And to be honest, I feel like when I'm playing the Star Wars games, my favorite part, it's not the shooting, it's not the lightsabers, which is dope, but I love watching the cinematics happen. When the Millennial Falcon flies above me and is slowly coming down, it gives me goosebumps. You know, like it is so cool. And then you see R2D2 there, and just watching the characters interact with themselves and just being a viewer. I almost like that, and it gets me almost more in the moment than like, go run over there, go jump, shoot, light. It's just so beautiful, and it's so mind-blowing to see things that you've only seen in 2D and just see it right there, and you can like touch it.
Right.
It's so surreal, and I really think and hope that in the future there is more awesome VR experiences, and I can't wait to see the very first one that's like a full motion picture.
Yeah, I feel like Pixar needs to make the move.
I'm signing the petition. Let's go.
I will too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute, I think, but it's so gonna be worth it. I think what's crazy too, that's fun about our industry is, I don't know about you, but I feel like there's been more work than artists recently. Maybe I'm wrong there. Some people might call me dumb and might not have been having good luck. I feel like I'm getting job offers and I've been passing along too much work recently. But I feel like there's a lot, and I feel like once VR opens up into this industry, there's going to be even more jobs. I mean, how do you recreate, like say somebody else wants to make a world or a movie, like Avatar, the movie. When they need that done, everything's going to have to be in 3D. And it already is 3D in Avatar, but I feel like a lot more movies are going to be like that. Star Wars, every single asset will have to be in 3D. So imagine how many 3D artists are going to be needed in every single VR shot. It's going to be crazy. These are just the random things I think about.
Yeah, since you recommended, honestly, I might just buy the Star Wars game right after this just to watch the cinematic.
It's worth it.
So yeah, I think VR has definitely got tons of potential. But I feel like I think a much better product is needed too, because I feel like a lot of like the consumer level product is still kind of not there yet. You know, I don't want to untethered headset to be like the battery to be drained in like 40 minutes, which is usually what happens. So
no, I completely agree. I feel like we're getting there. I think we like kind of just hit the first wave of seeing a possible reality of this becoming a major thing. I always like to say we're in the PlayStation 1 phase of gaming.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Well, I'm sorry for ranting so much about VR. I love it. We'll say one more thing I'm going to ask. Have you experimented ever with Unreal Engine or Unity at all?
Not yet, but I'm really looking forward into experimenting stuff like that. Either it's Unity or Unreal 5. I saw the Unreal 5 promo. It was out of this world. And I feel like if you can combine that with VR headset, that would be like, you probably would never want to take the headset off. I feel like, I think it's also like a lot to learn as well. But I feel like that's definitely one day that's what I'll be getting into, as well as for Unity, because I feel like a lot of AR work has been done on Unity for some reason instead of Unreal.
Yeah.
So that's a big part as well.
Yeah, I definitely love both engines for their own reasons. Definitely, I think Unreal is a lot harder, and it's easier to get a better looking thing and picture, but when it comes to the blueprints, it's kind of a little more complicated. There's a lot more buttons, to say the least, and you can dive a lot deeper into the options on what something can do, and it can get pretty complicated pretty quick. And Unity is just like super straightforward as it can get, and it looks cool. But
I mean, apart from the gaming logic, just like how to program a game part, that part I probably don't really care too much about. It's mostly just the real-time render part. I feel like it's been getting more and more realistic by the days. Some can even compete with actual ray tracing renders. that part, it's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like every time I look at Unreal Engine, there's just been a few times. I still think Unreal Engine, to get a really awesome looking scene, you might have to put in as much work into building the scene to look good, or to not have this. I don't know what it is about Unreal. I think it's the ray trace bounces might not bounce as much, is what I think is the problem. I always notice that the ray tracing doesn't bounce off really extra colors. It looks a lot of times more white. I'm not sure why. Anyway, where I was going with that is that I think you got to put a lot of time into making your scene look really, really, really good. In Unreal, you can't just crank up the render settings like you can in Octane and Redshift, like, yeah, let's just do 1800 glass bounces, like, and it looks real. In Unreal, you can't really, it doesn't really work that way. But when you do get it working, it's so fast. I mean, it's real time rendering. And there's been a few videos I've seen recently where I'm like, dude, that's so good 3D work. This 3D artist is so good. And then you look and it was made in Unreal. And you're like, wow. I had no idea Unreal could do that. And that's like happening more and more. 3 years ago, I wasn't seeing any of that. Now I feel like I'm seeing it pretty often.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane. I'm not sure if you're talking about just Unreal 4.
Both.
Okay. Because I don't know if Unreal 5 is actually out yet, because I gotta be paying attention to those stuff more. But I think the new version, the beta version or whatever, is much better than what it used to be, especially with just like the ray tracing stuff, and also the tessellation. I feel like because they have this new technology where it literally it renders every detailed polygon as much as possible, rather than for you changing the LOD, like rather than for you to bake down different models, it literally shows everything. I'm not sure how they do that, but it's crazy.
No, I don't either. Yeah, I've been trying to mess with 5. It's like, it sucks because I feel like all my projects are in 4. Mm-hmm. And I haven't switched over to 5. I play with 5 a little bit. And the Lumen, Nanite and stuff, it's so cool. So, all right, next question here. Just got like 2 or 3 more little questions here. Mm-hmm. What would you say your favorite project you've worked on has been?
Let me see. My favorite project so far, I think so far it has probably the BMW commercial. I made basically I made a short video just specifically designed for TikTok, but it could also be their other social channel. I think they post it everywhere on their socials. But yeah, I didn't have the intention of it going viral, but I feel like that's how it ended up. But the idea is try to present their new electric car model as slick as possible. And I feel like lots of effort has been put into it, and I'm like really liking the end result.
Love that. Okay, nice. BMW, it's a great car. Were they good to work with? Like, nice people, you felt?
Yeah, they're nice people. It's actually not directly from BMW, but rather like through an agency, a creative agency. So yeah, but yeah, they're pretty chill people, and then they're happy to let me have most of the creative control.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, any creative control, especially, I find that most artists that are very stylized, such as yourself, and just talked to Chris last week, and I feel like the more creative you are, the more freedom you're given, because your style just is so unique. And it's kind of like they also come to you because they know what they're expecting, or they like, you're not a generalist. It's like, I make dope content that looks like this, and like, yeah, that's what we want. So just do you.
Right. Which has been fantastic.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the dream. Well, I got 2 more questions. Growing up in the industry, I know you mentioned a few of your favorite people that got you inspired, and they can still be your favorites now, but who would you say is currently in your top favorite artist?
One of my favorite that like that his work has been really similar to what I do, and he's done like I feel like a much better job than me, to be completely fair. Is what I've mentioned before. His name is Voids, and his Instagram handle is Voids2 representing Toronto. So that's where he's based, and he's done some fantastic work. He even collaborated with Drake for a couple times. Yeah, he's realism and the magical thinking and creativity. It's out of this world. So that's the artist I've been liking the most, I feel like. And then there's also artists. There's this guy is called Adam Swab. I learned a lot of great Houdini tutorials from him. He's really good with particle stuff, and now he's selling amazing quality NFT. I know that I said a lot of people are just like doesn't put in too much effort, doesn't have a good quality of work when they sell NFT or stuff like that. But this guy is doing a great job. And there is this guy called Real Imposter. He's done some like really, really trippy stuff with soft bodies and all those like famous brand like Supreme and Gucci.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's just like a probably baked all the time when he's making the work, but he's crazy. Also, I guess for AR work, which is what I'm been also trying to get into, there's this guy called World Space. I think he's only doing VR stuff, and his work is just like amazing. He's basically making it look as real as works that's been rendered by Cinema or Octane. Yeah, and generally, I think there's a collective of artists that's being represented by H+. It's a creative agency that I was also in talk with. They're great people. I think they have a great, fantastic collection of artists. I think every one of them is really good.
Love that. Yeah, no, I've heard a few of those artists you mentioned before that were really great. And then I'm guessing you follow them all on Instagram and nice.
Right. And of course the great Michael Steinberg.
Oh yeah. Yeah, me and my dailies, my crap post. I haven't been doing the dailies as much anymore, but I'm gonna try and get back. I've been just working on drawing. I'm trying to get my drawing skills up. I feel like it's my weakest point.
The weakest point. I feel like that's the weak point to a lot of like 3D artists or motion artists, because we don't draw as much unless you're like actual animators, 2D animators. But yeah,
I've been seeing a lot of artists now that I really love, and they'll take really amazing photos, right? Or they'll make like an amazing 3D render and you're like, this is great. But then they go over it again with another layer where they just draw on top of it. And it's like photorealism, but it just makes it pop. Just adding like lines, like scar lines, blood a little bit here. Just some elements that would take forever to put in Cinema 4D. They just go through and just do like a quick render pass with their hand of adding all these awesome elements. I'm like, dang. Whew, I'd love to just get there.
Yeah.
But you got to get past drawing stick figures first. So, but yeah.
Totally. I think like mixing different kind of medium together, it's always ended up to have the best result.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And again, talking about being unique, it's just a lot different. And taking that extra step is just, it's what makes you stand out sometimes.
Right.
So this is my favorite question. I love this question. I ask it every time. If you're just talking in general, based on your entire life experience in the motion design 3D community, what is your favorite, or what is some pocket advice, just a quick few sentences or even a word that you would give to the community based on your experience?
I think if you want your work to be seen and to be appreciated, you gotta get yourself out there. And I feel like the best way of doing it is just post or showcase whatever work you've got. It doesn't have to be everything, but if any work that's not there, if it's not in your mind, that's not 100% perfect, you should still put it out there. If it's only like 70 or 80 or even 60%, just put it out there and then accept the whatever compliment or criticism there is. I think it's a good practice rather than just hiding a lot of them and only put out the best of your best, or even not putting out them at all.
Oh, 100%. I definitely agree with that so much. That's probably been one of my favorite pocket advice so far because, yeah, I think the hardest part sometimes is just to do it. And if you're not doing it or you're too afraid to show your work, then you just it's fun to post it out there and it just makes you more motivated to post something better next time.
Totally.
Well, real quick, man, dude, it's been a pleasure having you on. Just going to give you the floor here for a second. Is there any links or anything you want people to follow? Are you doing any NFT drops or anything you want to share before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I have a link tree if people want to not follow, if you want to go to it, has all my links in it. It's just linktree/Shane F3D. It's basically got all my socials and 2 NFT sites that I'm on.
All right, guys. Well, you heard him. That's where you need to go and check out all of his work and maybe grab some popcorn and grab a drink because it's going to be a little show for you because his work is awesome and you're going to enjoy looking at it. I mean, I spend hours looking at it. Maybe not hours, but I definitely, anytime he posts a new content, I'm watching it over and over again. So with that being said, thank you so much for being on the show, Shane. I'm excited for us all hanging out again at a meetup sometime. And yeah, man, it's just been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Once you break 1 million followers, we're going to have you back on again.
Oh, no, that's going to be a long way. That's going to be a long journey, I feel like.
Well, we'll see.